All right, we are here, and yes, we're late. And somebody put out a month late. I have not done a video on this channel since November, Thanksgiving weekend, when I managed to break my wrist. And I found that it was more difficult than I realized to keep up with 4 channels and try to get content out there. So those of you who don't know about all my other channels or whatever, you're here for Nate and David. All cool. I have other channels, America's Untold Stories, EricHunley, and I just focus completely on America's Untold Stories because I have a partner there and didn't want to let him down. We also have Nate and Eric, very famously. We had a couple in the can that we used, but it's tough to sometimes get those streaming out, but we will be streaming tomorrow, right, Nate?
Yes. We're going over the bot episode. We found so many bots. We're like bot heaven right now.
Nate, what's up with your mic? Are you using the mic off your headphones, or
yeah? Can you what? Is it crackly?
It just sounds like garbage, but it's fine. You can tell
it's hurting my eardrums. Is all. I'm used to the nice deep. What is this mic again?
Nate, sexy Nate. It's a Shure SM7B.
Shure SM70 that I'm used to.
Let me see if I can plug it up.
And
as David Lanford was saying, let the man out of the can.
By the way, as we're doing this, Eric, I people were asking if I'm going to have Tyler Fisher on. It looks like Tyler Fisher, the comedian who did the Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro impersonations. I think we're going to go live at 3:00 today. So we're making that happen now.
Mike,
fantastic.
Yeah, that'll
no.
Not yet. Give him a second.
So and while
another story. This is a typical thing about booming YouTubes. Like I'm a technical guy. I do know a lot of technical stuff, but I managed to screw everything up. So this is actually a brand new camera. I got it for Christmas, from the family. I was excited. New webcam, blah 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 blah. I put it on the computer and I was like, God, this looks like garbage. I don't have time with it, because of dealing with everything else. And so I put it on. I picked it up this morning, and lo and behold, I was looking at it. And have you guys bought anything that has any sort of lens or whatever lately? Either of you two?
No.
I'm pleading the fifth.
All right. Well, whatever. Even if it's 10 years ago. I forgot that there was a little plastic cover over the lens. And so I was hooking it up on the computer, and I'm like, it just looks so fuzzy, like a Gaussian blur. It just looks like foggy and garbage. And
first, I want to make sure you guys can hear me now. Is the audio better?
It is better.
All right. Yeah. Cool. We're on the Shure SM7B.
We got to get the resonant Nate.
It's
sexy Nate.
All right.
I agree with this. Your interview, I'm still listening, but with Jimmy Dore is excellent.
Yeah, so I saw part of it too. It's pretty good.
I feel bad sharing some of those clips about the Young Turks because Jimmy went off, but they're genuinely not good people. They're not nice, and I had no idea how bad they actually were. But my good God,
they were going after him for a while, right?
They were, but what's funny about it is because I've had Mike Wood on. I know. You're familiar with Dr. Wood, Mike Wood. He's the former Baltimore cop, etc. He worked with the Young Turks for a bit. Dave Rubin worked with the Young Turks for a bit. I'm surprised, David. Did you bring up Dave Rubin to Jimmy Dore? Because that's always a triggering thing for.
I did not. Does Jimmy Dore not?
You got. I really wish you did, just to see what his perspective is on that, because. One question that popped in my mind with Jimmy Dore, and if I ever get a chance, I'll ask him, are you more of a leftist or a populist? Pick one.
I asked him. He said he's a pure populist. Jimmy Dore does not consider himself to be a leftist because he considers them to be, part of the big fat machine. He considers left and right to be basically the same war pig machine, as he puts it.
Up and down.
Point,
And he says he's just an outright populist. He believes in universal health care, which I think we made headway on understanding the disagreement. It's not, he believes that universal healthcare might not be feasible as a concept, but divert the trillions that are going to funding foreign wars into healthcare, solve homelessness and solve healthcare before sending 20 tanks to Ukraine and $1 trillion. And there we can agree.
Which makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, but I tell them, universal healthcare, it doesn't work in Canada. It's not going to work in a population 10x Canada.
Well, but the thing is, you can kind of counteract that with the European Union, right? Most of those countries have universal healthcare.
Well,
I think it's specifics, though. Yeah, I think it's specific. Oh, you can't just point to Canada versus the U.S. because so many other countries do have it and it does work. So
I think it's interesting though, because I've heard this point and it just shut me up for a minute. They were like, we give a lot of money to a ton of other countries, right? To help their defense, prop them up, blah, blah, blah. Those same countries, a lot of them have universal health care.
We're paying for their health care.
in essence, because we're paying for, policing the world, are we in fact paying for everybody else's universal health care? So I can see Jimmy's message, and I've turned, and this is one of the things that I've been shifting on in terms of my philosophy, because I don't like the government. I've been in the military. I don't like when the government does anything. It tends to be garbage. It tends to be horrible. And there are huge problems. At the same time, I would love to go YouTube full time. One of the considerations being here where I live is, who is going to pay for my health care? What if I happen to break my wrist? What do I do? And this brings the point home. I'm a corporate drone and I have good health care with a corporation, but if I leave it, trying to pay that out of pocket, that becomes a nightmare. And then I thought about it further. If we supposedly are into a free market capitalist society, right, where everybody should be able to start a business, invent things, create things, generate profit, free market, all of that. If they don't have to worry about healthcare, how many people that are brilliant and stuck in a corporate stranglehold could break free as entrepreneurs, creating new things, new businesses, new shops, new restaurants, new things for all of us, just by taking the burden of this expense off of their plate?
Not to be Debbie Downer, Mr. Cynic. Flip side to that argument, Eric, is how many people would just quit working because healthcare would be covered for and become further, have less incentive to have to work. I'm saying that
they don't have it now, dude. Because honestly, if you are in abject poverty, you have better options.
This is what I was
to get free healthcare.
People were explaining to me, like they said, Viva, if you need to go to the hospital, tell them you don't have insurance and you'll pay them later. That only works as a visitor, not as a resident or whatever. But no, but Eric, it's like, first of all, comparing, as people often do with the argument, countries like Norway, well, they have great health. You're comparing to countries of like 6 million, 3 million population.
Sure.
It doesn't scale up to 350 million. And then you compare to China. I don't know what the hospitals are like there, but I do know that they had to lock people down to save the hospitals. And, you're paying, the money comes from somewhere, but
they did that here too, though. Right? Then they locked down the hospitals to save people here too.
Yep.
Like, I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between China as locking down, because we did it too.
Much less than China, and certainly much less than Canada. And Canada, the whole issue was the system was so bad, so dilapidated, so in shambles that they locked down everybody with curfews and whatnot. And now they figured out the solution is, kill the ill and you'll save some bills. Oh my gosh, should I kill the ill? You'll save the bill. Which is basically the Trudeau regime tactic now. It's
kill the ill, save the bill.
No, they want to.
Sick.
I just made that up. Like, I just thought of that right.
Oh my God.
Mentally ill, physically ill. It's cheaper to kill them than it is to maintain them on the system, and they're doing it.
That's true.
I agree, and I'm not saying because I'm a soldier. I know, but here's the funny part: like the VA. There are people who have put themselves through self-immolation rather than dealing with the VA, telling you how bad it can be. At the same time, my late father, he went to the VA here in Hampton. He had great treatment, fantastic treatment. So, of course, not everything is the same everywhere. As a matter of fact, his treatment was so good. He was diabetic. They were like over prescribing things. Like, he would go in and get they just give him all these syringes, and he didn't need, it's like there's 30 days in the month, right? Maybe 30. They give him like 100. So there's stuff like that where you see like this waste, and I couldn't help but think it's like, okay, so he's doing well here in this location and getting stuff, and he tried to give it back or whatever and things like that. But then that means that somewhere else, they're probably short on their supplies.
Extra.
So there's huge inefficiencies. And I'm not sitting there. What did I say? I hate the idea of the government doing anything. I'm leaning, maybe there's some sort of model. I think it's the Swiss who have a model that they treat insurance kind of like car insurance, where everybody has to have it. Or another option would be a catastrophic insurance where you don't pay that much money. And if your bills are, like above a certain threshold, like 10,000, 20,000, whatever, a really hard amount, then it will come in and everything else is out of pocket. So it's just a competitive market for general things like that.
Because I'm thinking, all right, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with the study where they compared the system we have now versus universal healthcare and said we'll save money over 10 years because there's a whole bunch of waste within the system that we have now. And I do agree. I'm not comfortable with the government running anything, to be honest with you. But I don't think the universal healthcare is just so complicated because there are some systems that do work, some systems that don't work. But I don't think anyone would say that universal healthcare would cost less from every study that over time. And I think, unfortunately, the system we have now it just doesn't work. It's broken because if you are sick, if you have a catastrophic injury and you have no health insurance, you go to the hospital, and by law, most states, they have to treat you. And you can still walk away and never pay that bill. And guess what? That bill is still going to be paid. So, I'm not saying universal health care will fix the system, but we also, just so everybody else, we do have a form of universal health care. After you turn 65, it's called Medicare.
Well, that's what Jimmy likes. It's Medicare for all.
Yeah, and that's what they're talking about, Medicare for all. Just expanding it to people under 65. So but again, I think I do agree with Viva though. It's not a one quick fix. I think you have to kind of make it unique for each particular situation. So I don't think the Canada system is going to work here in the U.S., but I think there's something like that could work.
Yeah, the key thing is to break free of the corporations. Like, I did not realize. Do you guys know the history of how corporations got tied in with the insurance and healthcare?
Nixon.
It was way before that, dude.
The Nixon, he made the, remember they had the whole thing.
Yeah, but it's in World War II, before Nixon was around.
Nixon was the one who started the healthcare that we have today. That's Nixon. I can play the clip if you want.
Okay, but I can point out even before that there were corporate tie-ins, because in World War II, the rationing, etc., you weren't allowed to raise wages, but they were short on labor, so they had to pack in benefits, and they started to pack in healthcare. Like, you would get insurance by working for this corporation, and it was a way for them to give people a raise or get competitive in the market for people to get healthcare. Yeah, that was way before Nixon.
But Nixon, the system we have today, Nixon nationalized it, and he did a whole speech on it. I remember that he was presented. That was like one of the knock on Nixon's, that he put us in this system, because before we were on the barter system. So everybody understands. Before, it was kind of like the barter system. You go to the doctor, you pay a bill, and the bills were reasonable because, hey, everybody, you would pay just like a mechanic. But then Nixon did this changed it to this healthcare system where you get insurance. And the pitch it to him, and it's all been recorded. He says, "Oh my God, this is a great thing," and now they can make money off the insurance versus having this direct payment, and that's kind of started to nationalize the system that we have today. So Nixon was he's the person that kind of put it in place. So we have, and obviously took us off the gold standard too, but put the system that we have in place today.
I'm gonna make Nate crazy. He's gonna be looking this up later.
Go ahead.
Look up World War II and corporations. Anyway,
I believe there were things before, but I'm saying the system that we have in place now was started by, like, it's universally accepted. It started by Nixon.
All right. Fair enough. David, you're quiet.
I've never even thought. I'm trying to think of, like, when did Canada start to have its problems? I don't know enough about the history. I just know the present. So. But it's interesting. Like, we're learning it here now. We have to get health insurance. We're seeing how the co-pays work, and it is like, it's just like, you either have corporations involved in it, which are going to jack up the prices, or you have unions involved in it, which are going to jack up the prices, or I say suck up the resources, which comes to the same thing. You're just getting shittier service for the money that's already being paid in, because you have waste one way or the other. I don't know what the solution is.
People are pushing back at you saying it was LBJ, Nate. So I'll have to look that part up too. Because
all that I know is that, like someone in the chat noticed, it's generally speaking the universal healthcare countries now that are also invoking the most liberal euthanasia laws imaginable. So put two and two together. People.
Well, yeah, which is very, very interesting. Yes. And of course, David likes that. Oh, here we go.
I am not a crook.
This is the birth of the HMO.
Okay, so you're talking about one office. That's like.
This is when he was being pitched it.
Now narrow down the president's problems on this thing to one issue, and that is whether we can include these health maintenance organizations like Mr. Kaiser's permanente thing. Now let me ask you, you know I'm not too keen on this is a private enterprise one.
Nick, pause. I apologize to everybody's ears.
They were using
insurance to listen to this.
They were using Nate's mic.
Oh my God!
But essentially, if you listen to it, because it's horrible because it's from '71. But he explains how this is a nice little moneymaker scheme, and he likes it, and then he adds it to like a bill so they can start operating in the United States. So you're right, the concept was before, but he started the HMO thing where you have this medical
insurance. Yeah, but that's just a type. That's just a type. I'm talking about the corporate wedding to insurance that employees get that causes a dependency on working for the corporation, and that goes back. That's all. You're talking about an implementation method.
Yes. I'm talking about when it was implemented.
That's a much later thing. But either way, on a happy note, people haven't seen this for a long time. Article came in literally this morning, and I was like, okay, we have to cover it. And
go on.
Does anybody remember this? Hopefully, if a chunk of this video doesn't make sense because it's gone, that's because I got hammered on the music by YouTube, and I'm going to remove it later. I'm letting you know now, but I had to do it because it's important. We have quite literally a lawsuit with Rick Astley, and I don't know if you've seen this. And it is like, is he Rick rolling law?
Who's Young Gravy?
I don't know. Like I said, it just came out. I was like, well, we got to cover this. We got to cover this. Suing a rapper for impersonating his voice.
Look, I haven't read the article. I suspect what we're going to get is it's not just an impersonation; it's a passing off.
It could be. I don't know.
Scroll down. Let's see what's going on here.
First
of all,
he's a comedian rapper. Oh God. Well, if that's true, then that is really, really sad because Rick Astley has gotten so much love by having a sense of humor about the Rickroll. And if he's going to throw it all away with a bullshit lawsuit, that's kind of sad and tragic, in my opinion.
Listen, hold on. If there's an article there, Eric, scroll down and see what the article says.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Because he has to be doing a song that he's subsequently selling.
God. Let's see if I can get this totally demonetized.
Hey, what's your baby mama at the crib and blow her back out? Shorty Filipino and she
I'm in love with Young Gravy now.
That beat though.
Okay.
Yeah, I get why I get why you might have a copy, because don't forget that this is how Blurred Lines got caught out there. Yep. It was the feel of the music. It wasn't even the beat. It was the feel of the music. So if that got caught, then he's in trouble.
But they're saying he is actually impersonating him in the parts that's Rick Astley. So it's like a cover that's so close. But you know what? If he's going to sue over copyright, that's fine. Did the guy give him credit? Is this a parody? If he's a comedian, and that's a question for you guys. Is that a parody? Because he's imitating him completely.
I would make the argument that that's just outright passing off. I mean, it's almost like counterfeiting. It's almost like making a painting look like
if it's parts, though, he is, we're starting to get into fair use territory. Because he's not taking the original, he's imitating it and parodying that as a comedian. So this is great. This is actually an interesting topic.
It's like Weird Al Yankovic. He had to, I'm thinking about back to, because I don't know this.
He did not have to. Weird Al did not have to ask permission. He did it because he wanted to.
But he changed the lyrics. He changed the lyrics, so it wasn't Weird Al was quite obviously parody. There's no parody in doing a perfect.
He did not always change the lyrics either, David, because in all of his polka roll-ups, he literally took their lyrics and took about, like 10-second, 20-second bits of them and then just rolled them all together into a song with a different beat pattern.
I don't know.
So look up Hooked on Polka and on the other classics of Weird Al, and you'll find out that he does take each song as very recognizable that he's taken a part of the song. Now we all know who he is, but again, this is interesting.
Because I don't know. I would like to say, I'm gonna look up the law, see if he's even lawsuits where he got sued, because it would be hard for me to somebody would sue him if he's just taking the beat, and so it's going to be tough to get around. I don't know.
I don't see that doing a perfect impersonation and then incorporating it with the sound and the beat into a song. That's not parody in my view.
Yeah, you're doing a lot.
I mean, it's like saying, "Oh, I can play the original. I can replay the original piece in the exact same way the composer." Well, that's a little different, but the fact that you can recreate the music.
I think this is going to be.
You're doing a fair use analysis. You got to do an analysis of the factors.
You're reproducing the work now, substantially. And the question is going to be whether or not that Rickroll section is substantial. But it's not parody because it's not making fun of or transforming it. It's just incorporating it.
But it is transforming it because they say in pieces. And I don't know. I don't know the lyrics. But what if he's reflecting on it, like, you stupid mofos with the Rickroll? Whatever. What if he's making fun of them, people with a particular part of the pattern?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Your question invokes what if he does all that? That would be one factor. They would weigh that against all the other factors. Well, how close is it to the original version? Is it parody? Like there are four factors that are weighed. So you're right. In that instance, they'll say that, but then you'll look at the other factors and those other factors. How much of the material did you use? Are the beats exactly the same? That type of stuff.
This is a good case, though, isn't it? I mean, I expect some lawyers to cover this.
Well, I'll talk about it Sunday night.
No, it's a fascinating case because it goes up to, like you're saying, is it fair use? Because I think you can make a real good argument. It is fair use, but I think you could also make a good argument that it's not. And that's where the rub is going to be.
Is anybody going to be confused and think it's Rick Astley's song?
Absolutely.
You don't have to be confused.
I thought it was I thought it was a clip from Rick Astley's original song. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to be confused. You just have to be able to show that there's a possibility for market confusion, right? People in the market can be confused by this.
By the way, apparently the chat just said that the Paul Pelosi attack video is out, and I'm looking for it as we speak.
Yeah. I am curious about that because supposedly the Pelosi's were concerned about its release. Why would they be concerned? It should back up everything that they were saying.
Not just that. Why am I not seeing the damn video? I'm seeing CNN say it's being released 11 minutes ago.
Give it time.
It'll be out.
San Francisco Superior Court on Friday released the video during last year's attack, and then the underline goes to another article, not to the video.
It's a Friday drop. All right.
CNN has obtained the CD.
Of course it's Friday. They want it to be buried.
Yeah, buried, yeah. It's a Friday drop.
Dude, okay. Well,
we'll look at it.
Oh, yeah.
But listen, I go ahead.
I was going to say one quick note. I forgot to say this earlier, but I'm not above begging. I'm a YouTuber. One thing I noticed about the channel was I lost hundreds of subs since I've last done the video.
Well, of course.
If any of you have been unsubbed accidentally or whatever, please look. Or if you like this kind of content, please sub. That's it.
Don't take that personally, Eric. If you don't consistently upload content, people, I think you will have not the engagement with your subs, and they'll think the subs have become lost subs. Casey Neistat, just keep uploading. I just sent that video to somebody out there. Everybody should just keep uploading.
I agree, but don't
nobody and
then people, when I'm trying to get subs. Thank you very much.
Everyone sub. Well, I'm not as good as Grobert. Everyone sub to this channel. What do we just do this for free on a Friday? Are you doing Freeform Friday this afternoon, Eric?
We are. Yeah. I don't know if Barnes is going to make it or not. I'm going to fire a link. I'll fire you a link too if you want.
I might. I'm going live with Tyler Fisher at 3:00, so I should be done. But my wife might kill me. She might kill me.
She could be on. She could be on too.
That'd be even worse.
That would be fine for him.
Well, his wife did join to tell him about his room last Freeform Friday.
What happened about the room?
Let's just say Pudge didn't quite make it outdoors.
And by the way, good news for everybody: Pudge's blood work came back totally normal. So the dog is going. Good. Yeah, she's going to continue living. So
good.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Before we get any further, I have a mea culpa to give to Eric. So Eric is the Alec Baldwin savant. He knows it all. He is the guy who knows it. And a couple of days ago, I called Eric and I'm like, Eric's telling me about, the Alec Baldwin's charge. And I'm like, Eric, he's not going to be convicted. This is ridiculous. I've looked at it. It's garbage. It's garbage. He's good. The charges are ridiculous. He's not going to be. This is me telling Eric, you don't know. He's not going to be convicted. Eric is like, Nate, there's something here. You got to look. I'm like, Eric, you're wrong. I'm a lawyer. Trust me. It's not going to happen.
Dude is charged.
Yes.
Hard.
Then I went and watched all the stuff again because I was going to do a video, and I had to call Eric this morning and said, Eric, you are freaking right. The guy is going to be convicted. He's going to have to plead. I am so sorry. I was too arrogant, but yes, Alec Baldwin is in deep trouble. So I want to make it very clear. I said all that crap before. I was 100% wrong. Alec Baldwin, I think, is going to be convicted. Don't forget to subscribe.
On that note, though, hold on. I may snatch a little bit of defeat out of the jaws of victory here because I'm dumb. But I wanted to talk about this side subject on Baldwin today. And it sort of slipped under my radar because, yes, we've been covering this case for over 30 episodes on America's Untold Stories, all the way since the beginning. As a matter of fact, the channel was rebuilt the day after it happened. And it's also the channel was built that day, and the next day I met David in real life. But this came across the wire, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. 2 people were shot. 1 died. 1 was shot and hospitalized. He will not be charged for the director because they don't have a law dealing with, I don't know how they put it.
It's called transferred intent.
Right. Because they say he absolutely had no intent to hit Joel Souza. That's proven out. Nobody questions that. So because of that, he can't be charged for this. And I feel like that this may weigh on the law a little bit, but I'm asking 2 attorneys here, how would you argue that? Because to me, that throws in some problems. It's like, wait, 2 people were shot and you're saying, sorry, fine on 1, but the other one will nail you.
Go ahead. Well,
I was just going to ask you, I don't ask me, but Nate, is there not a law for reckless discharge causing bodily injury?
Yes. So what happens is that in the United States, we have what's known as transferred intent. Let's say if I intend to shoot one person and the bullet then travels and shoots somebody else. Well, generally in most states, they have a concept known as transferred intent, where even though my intent wasn't to shoot the second person, it was to shoot the first person. If the bullet then injures someone else, that intent travels. So it's essentially like I intended to shoot that person. So but not every state has that concept of transferred intent, especially when you're talking about involuntary manslaughter. So when you're talking about involuntary manslaughter, some states don't have that issue where the intent transfers to the next person. So in this particular case, he's pointing a gun, he shoots her. That intent, that reckless intent was with her, but it doesn't transfer to the next person. So technically they can't legally charge.
But they said there wasn't intent, and that's why it's screwed up, because he didn't intend to shoot her.
No. Intent is an overall term that also means recklessness. And so it's not, intent means it's not the colloquial meaning intent. When I'm talking about intent, I'm talking about the mens rea, his mental state, and the mental state is recklessness. So generally, transferred intent doesn't work with recklessness. It does work if you meant to shoot somebody, but generally with recklessness, it doesn't work. So that's why in this case. But now Viva makes another good point. Well, if it's reckless, or that gun, if he just closed his eyes and shot recklessly and shot this person, then that. But I think because there was someone who was actually shot and the bullet went through, I think that's their law doesn't allow that intent to transfer to the next person.
I'm just thinking that could be, I don't know, if I was on a jury, I always take that stance because I'm not a lawyer, but if that somehow got in, I'd be like, wait, what? We got, to me, apples to apples in some ways. It's like, because that doesn't make sense to me.
That wouldn't go. The defense argues, why wasn't the other guy charged? You can't, like that. That wouldn't be appropriate in a criminal. Like the defense attorney said, why wasn't the other guy charged? You should think about that. That wouldn't be appropriate in the trial because you're charged. So now you got to defend yourself. It doesn't matter if the DA doesn't charge anyone else.
Eric, you've been following. I mean, I've been following this closely, but you've been following it closer. Joel Souza has still not said anything publicly, correct?
No, because he's smart. Because honestly, I feel people were laying around who could be charged. I said Joel Souza could be charged.
Yes.
It was his damn set.
Mhm.
He was in charge. And if you take the Midnight Rider case, that remember the director served time. This is all under Joel Souza's purview. The safety, the shot lineup, every single part of it was under that. But because he was shot and because he shut his mouth, note Alec Baldwin, because he shut his mouth, I don't think Baldwin would have been charged if he shut his mouth.
But don't forget though, we're talking about different states. So in some, and that's the weird part about the United States. Like each state is a different country. So in some states, he could have been charged, right? Being that, but in other states, that may not be the case. So I don't know, because New Mexico has a little weird little quirks.
I think the fact he was shot, it was like he's shot, he's a victim now, and somehow the possibility of victim versus perpetrator,
smart.
clouded.
You're a smart SOB, Eric. I mean I don't even know why it had never occurred to me that Souza could have been charged until you mentioned it now, because I always just took for granted he's one of Baldwin's victims and not potentially the incidental ricochet victim of his own negligence on set. And you mentioned that you're talking about the Twilight Zone one with the helicopter that crashed. And
No. I'm talking about Midnight Rider, where the camera assistant, I believe she was killed by a train. It took place in Georgia or South Carolina, one of the two. It was the movie about Greg Almond and had Anyway, it had William Hurt in it, and the director, who happens to be the director of Bottle Shock, by the way, phenomenal movie. He went to prison for this incident. He was charged. The first AD was charged, and I think the producer or something. It was like they just went to the top and just said you, and he was convicted, and he served time. Yeah, I think he is the first. I think he's the first director to have served time for an incident, because the Twilight Zone incident, the director John Landis, I believe, was over a very long trial and by the skin of his teeth. It was close. It was really, really close, because from what I understand, allegedly he had a nose candy issue, and it was a pretty manic, crazy set, wildness, but he did get out.
But I do think if that case was in Georgia and this is New Mexico, it's interesting, because we're assuming that he could have been charged, but I don't even know if he could have been charged, because the laws may just be that different. Because again, like in New York, he would have been charged. Alec Baldwin would have been charged for both shots, because he
wasn't even charged, Nate. He wasn't even charged by the state environmental health and safety people. Remember, they levied the maximum fine against Dave Halls and the producers. Souza got nailed a little because he's a producer too, maybe. But the bottom line is that the dude has not been acknowledged in any part of it. And again, the claim that because this person was charged in Georgia doesn't equate to that you could have the same charges, even for the same act in New Mexico. Right. And that's what I'm saying. And again, I'm not an expert on New Mexico law, but that change in venue does make differences in who can be charged for what. So again, I'm not sure what the law is, and because there could be a reason why they can't charge him, even based on the facts. And like Viva said, this is negligence, and you can't charge the person if you could prove they're negligent, you still couldn't charge them criminally, because you can't charge criminally for negligence. Well, either way, I'm just talking about, you've got safety conditions, you've got the COVID protocols. I mean, there's a lot of stuff involved in this case.
Langford says director's going to turn state's evidence. I think so. I have a very, very
director's going to finish the film, for God's sake.
No, director's going to wait. Hold on one second. Now you say that, it's going to ruin my other thought. I was going to say director's going to provide incriminating evidence for Alec, but
no. He's directing Baldwin on the film coming up now.
Oh.
They're doing location shooting.
Hold on, Eric, I predicted they're not continuing that movie. That's my bold prediction. And if it turns out to be true, Grobert is going to have to give me some.
Well, I don't know. We'll see, because I got a bottle that came in that said they can't hire an armorer.
That's going to be tough. And what about the insurance?
No, I mean, literally, the rumor is, and it's a pretty strong rumor, get my point, that everybody's saying, up yours, I'm not doing it. Sorry.
They're not finishing this movie. And in which case, my prediction is still going to be Joel is going to have some damning testimony against Alec, not against Hannah, and not against who's the third?
But
Hall.
AD, he pled. He
AD,
pled.
Hall,
Hall pled.
yeah.
Yeah, he
Oh,
pled,
Hall
though,
pled. So
he's out.
that's it. So we only got AD,
Mhm.
Hannah,
Mhm.
Baldwin.
Mhm.
The other guy there, what's his name?
The
Seth
director,
Kinney.
but
Seth Kinney.
No?
Yeah, Seth Kinney.
By the way, your girl Megan, she's been very quiet about Seth Kinney because remember she was marching on the Seth Kinney bandwagon, and
I think
in full transparency,
she walked it back a little bit.
In full transparency,
Okay.
I know Seth Kinney. I talked to Seth Kinney, so I'm going to be fair that Seth Kinney and I do communicate. He has shared information with me for a while now, so I definitely want to.
Baltimore Arrest Assistant Director.
This is I wanted to bring this up too because remember Baldwin's whole bit of Dave Halls handed me the gun and said cold gun.
Yeah,
Well, now Dave
hold on.
Halls is speaking. Hold on, Dave Halls is speaking. I'll get to that too, Nate. I know exactly where you're going. I think Dave Halls is saying no, that's not true. I handed the gun to Hannah. Hannah gave it to Alec Baldwin. Hannah said cold gun, which now locks in the armorer and Baldwin completely, the two who are charged.
Yes.
And Nate is probably going to bring up, and see if I'm wrong, that in the interrogation with the police, one of them, I have them on America's Untold Stories, at least one. We've covered a bit of it. Alec Baldwin, they said, who gave you the gun? Don't do law and crime, dude. America's Untold Stories. Come on. What is that, David?
No, that's not me. That's not me.
Oh, it's Nate. Oh, it's Nate.
Someone's trying to get you.
Oh, yeah,
you're gonna get.
Anyway,
sued by law
that's
enforcement.
fine. All right, that's fine. Anyway, they said, who handed you the gun? And he said, Hannah, always Hannah. Remember that statement, but go ahead. I mean, I think you're playing it.
Yeah, I'll play this. Oops. Uh-oh. It's not playing.
On Law and Cook today.
Oh, I'm cracking my. Let me see if you can hear my back in the mic. Oh, that was good. Okay.
Okay. She would show me the gun.
Okay.
Or she'd say, cold gun. She'd say, test it, or some language to indicate she handed me the gun. And that was fine. And she said, do you want to check?
No.
And I always didn't want to insult her because we never had a problem.
Now, hold on.
I said,
This is what
and the
actually
first
convinced
AD,
me.
very
Hold on, just to clarify one thing before we even get back more into the clip. This clip that you're listening to right now convinced me that Alec Baldwin is going to be convicted. No doubt about it. He's either going to take a plea, he's going to be convicted. The situation here that you're listening to is Alec Baldwin is his first interview right after the shooting, and the police are asking him, "Well, who handed you the gun?" He says, "Hannah, the armorer." He's also going to say,
importantly, he does not know that Helena is dead at this point.
Yes,
in this interview. Yeah.
But more importantly, the law. It's because I got to just give back people some background on why I hate fucking. You don't have like a 20-second speech here, but I got to give it to you. So when you're talking about involuntary manslaughter, you're talking about some form of recklessness. Recklessness is you've done something where you should have checked the gun, but you didn't, and therefore you are reckless. If somebody dies, you're reckless. Now, if anyone goes to any gun range, you know for a fact anybody hands you a gun, the first thing they teach you to do is check it, and it's common practice. So even if somebody hands you the gun 1,000,000 times, and that the 1,000,000 first time you grab the gun and shoot somebody, you're still responsible, even though you didn't check it 1,000,000 times. So in this clip, Baldwin's defense has always been they handed me the gun and they said it was cold. But the thing that's going to convict him is he says, in that you're about to hear again, that Hannah handed me the gun and then told me, check it. And then he said he didn't check it, and his excuse was he didn't want to embarrass her. Well, since he acknowledged that two things, that he was supposed to check the gun and that she asked him to check it, he now doesn't have that excuse that she handed him the gun and he can just do whatever he wants with it. The fact that she told him to check it and he refused to check it, that gives him now the recklessness liability needed to convict him, because in that situation, he was supposed to check the gun. And then also in this interview, you're going to hear the fact that Baldwin said himself that in the scene that they were shooting, the gun was supposed to be empty. There wasn't supposed to be any rounds in there, live, dummy, anything. So for the fact that he actually took the gun and the gun had rounds in it, if he would have just checked and saw rounds in it, dummy rounds or whatever, he would have said, hey, there's not supposed to be any rounds in the gun, and they would have took the rounds of the gun. So that's what's got Baldwin caught up. So now you're going to hear him say that she gave me the gun and told me to check it. And soon as he did not check it, that's what makes him liable.
No.
By the way, I was going to say, oh yeah. On that note too, though, because a lot of people might think, oh, well, that gets Hannah off, right? Because I know, well, that's where I'm going, dude. Thank you. It gets people will think it gets handed off, but it doesn't, because it can be pushed back. No, you were the professional. You should have insisted, or even more importantly, checked it your damn self and then gave it to him.
Yes, but
both
this
of them are hemmed up. Both of them are hemmed up in this.
So now listen to this, because again, if you go to any gun range and someone hands you a gun, and even if they tell you it's empty, your responsibility is to check, because if you shoot somebody with the gun and you say, oh, I thought the guy told me it was empty, they're going to say you're supposed to check it. So the fact that, so you have to treat Alec Baldwin, and this is what the DA said, just like if he was at a gun range and someone handed him a gun and told him it was empty, and then told him to check it. That's why they're able to charge, and that's why a lot of the Hollywood types. So here, let me play it now, so now you guys understand why I think he's going to be convicted.
Arrived there at like about 8.
Okay.
Normally I'm there at like 6:30.
All right. And then anything abnormal in the day? Who handed you your weapon in the day?
Hannah.
Handed it. Okay. And physically handed or put it in the holster?
Handed it to me.
Okay.
She would show me the gun.
Okay.
Or she'd say, cold gun. She'd say, test it, or some language to indicate, as she handed me the gun, that it was fine. And she'd say, do you want to check? Okay. And I always didn't want to insult her. I said, because we never had a problem.
Yeah.
I said, oh, I'm good. So, and the first AD very often will ask, periodically, he'll say, let me check.
Okay.
And they'll have 2 people check, for this very reason, that we don't have any forget about live rounds of bullets, that we have any flash rounds in the gun while we're rehearsing. Because if someone wants to indicate, and
that's a conviction. That, what you just heard, is him confessing to recklessness. He was told to check the gun. He said he didn't check the gun. He relied on other people to check the gun. She handed the gun and told him to check it, and he didn't check it and continued to do that. That's what you're hearing now, is literally a confession to recklessly using a firearm. That's exactly what this is.
It's amazing that you have an armorer. It's her job. I mean, it's her job. I'm not letting Alec off in any way whatsoever. Just, okay, I'm the armorer. I'm doing my job as a professional. Here, do you want to check it? Like, what kind of stupid question is that? Like, that's why you're here. Do it so that I don't have to check it. Yeah, he's done for. I don't know how he, short of pleading, how he's ever going to get away from the minimum enhancement here of 5 years minimum.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have to plea that out, because that 5-year enhancement, that's the nightmare. The 18 months can be kind of whittled and negotiated out a little bit. I think
it was 18 months max, not 5 years.
Right? No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said 18. I'm just going for the ceiling, and obviously it'd be less. That's why I said whittled down, cut, good behavior, blah 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 blah. But that enhancement, that's the nightmare.
Yeah, and but the thing is that this is why also 2 people. When Alec Baldwin went to the police played him. They like think about this. If you witness a bank robbery, anybody here witnesses a bank robbery, and then you go and the police come and say, "Hey, what did you see?" And you start telling them, "I saw 2 guys run up." If the police ever do this, if they ever stop and say, "Hold on, before we get your statement, we need to read you your rights."
It's just a matter of course. It's just SLP.
That automatically, you know what that means? That means you are not a witness. You are a suspect. If the police are saying, before you speak, I got to read you your rights, that means you are a suspect, and you need a lawyer, and you should never waive that. You should say, okay, yes, I need my lawyer. If you got to read me these rights, I need a lawyer, because if they ask you the questions without reading you those rights, they probably not going to be able to use it. But if they ask it to you and they ask you those questions, then you are a suspect, and they need it. And that's what they did to Baldwin, and they got him to admit that he was reckless, because he was asked to check the gun before using it, a dangerous weapon. He'd check it, and he said, "No, I trust you." That is a conviction.
Thank you, Little Rock. We assumed that they had offered him a deal because in the interview on CNN, the DA said that they were notified ahead of time where we were going with the charging. So it only makes sense. They would say, "Hey, do you want to plea? Do you want to plea?" So that makes a lot of sense.
Well, what he says, he said, I went to school with the daughter of the New Mexico AD. She has told me they offered him a plea deal. And unless forced, another will not be as good.
Of course,
yeah.
The best deal is first up. And
okay, so bottom line is he got an offer which he turned down. So
well,
which he kind of has to.
Yeah, the way prosecutors do it, there's pre and post offers. So pre-indictment offer is generally, hey, we haven't taken this to the grand jury. These are the facts. And you're probably going to get the best deal. I've seen this with some suspects where I had one suspect who turned down a 1-year suspended sentence, went to trial after pre-indictment, and then post-indictment he was right. The Viva trial he had to take 8 years.
Wow.
So that's the difference, because they indicted him on all this great stuff and all these felonies, and now you got to plead out to the felonies.
Hold on a second. They can make you a pre-indictment plea, not based on what they know they will indict you for, and not tell you that you're going to be indicted for much more and face.
No, the person knew he was going to be indicted,
right?
But and he was going to be indicted on something serious. But they made him an offer because, again, at first they were trying to develop the case. So the lawyer was like, all right, we'll just plead out to, and they're like, okay, we'll do this, and the person was going to be like less than a year in jail. But after post indictment, boom, that's when they hit him with the 9 years, because he had been indicted. They had got some more evidence, and the DA's office will tell you post-indictment deals are usually more punitive than pre-indictment.
Well, because
the process.
No, that makes sense though, right? Because first of all, this is an example. Like if we offer a deal, the best thing's going to be first, because there's more investigation. You have to pay your staff. It costs money to bring it to trial. All this, so you're costing the system money. I'm sure would be the argument, right? And then if you plea out right away, well, then it's like, okay, we don't have to pay for the trial, don't have to pay for this and this. You're showing a degree of taking responsibility, so that's going to mitigate on your side. We'll just make this whatever it is and move on. But it's like, oh, you're going to say no to us? Okay, fine. Now let's see what happens. Yeah. And they want everybody else to know that, like your story, Nate, that's a great story to tell everybody down the road. Oh, you don't want to take the deal? Well, consider this. Nate, tell them about your friend here, or tell them about this person that you know. And you say, hey, he was given 1 year. Now he's got 8. This better weigh on your conscience. Do you want to make a deal now? Yes or no? Oh, here we go. There was 2 pre-offers, one a while back and one about a week ago before it was announced publicly. He knew he was going to be indicted. The rumor is DA was being, I know the DA was being pressured, and I believe that's why the DA got the special prosecutor, Andrew Reed, but she also stalled past any election point. So she's got time. It doesn't matter. She handed off now she's got a hatchet person, which Nate, by the way, in the CNN interview, noticed that she did pull in the special prosecutor saying, we determined, and I think she even said special prosecutor kind of determined, and she agreed with it. So she did a nice little savvy move. Hey, Uncivil. Hey, Kurt.
But I also think, though, unfortunately, and I like you heard Joy Behar say she was a Trump Republican just after
you said with the
Baldwin.
DA.
Yeah, they're like, but the DA is a Democrat. She's a lifelong Democrat. What are you talking about?
Not only that, she's a Soros Democrat. She really is. It's not a political statement. She got Soros money to be the DA.
But it just shows you she sees this conspiracy without any evidence.
Yes, the behavior panel did do a video on Alec Baldwin a while back. So look at the behavior panel.
Yeah, but Alec Baldwin is a story. No matter how much money you have, if they start reading your rights, you don't talk. You wait, get one of us, and then we start talking together. Because no lawyer would have let him say what he said. That, she told me to check the gun, and I said, well, you're such a good armorer. Don't worry, I believe you. That's a confession, people. He should take a deal. There's no way. That's a confession. What he just did was give them the case.
Wow. It's crazy.
What do you think, Viva?
Oh no, well, he can't. It's funny. You hear him talking, and he's like, he thinks he's talking to friends because he's a big celebrity, and
he's showing off for 2 female cops.
Can't possibly be in trouble. Let me just run my lips the moment afterwards. Yeah, no, it's all. But anyways, he's in big trouble.
That, by the way, that interrogation is funny in other ways too, because he goes off and he starts, the whole thing. Well, I don't know. They're the professional, that. And then he starts giving a master class in the breakdown of all ammunition and how it works on a set and the guns are handled. I mean, it's like, no, dude, you freaking know. You definitely know what is going on. And I've brought this up many times on our show. This is something that I'm sure we released before anybody. But Alec Baldwin's father was the coach of the rifle team at Alec Baldwin's high school. Alec Baldwin's father died with lead in his lungs that was like at an extremely high level. That's how much involvement with the rifle. He literally had like a lead poisoning, etc. So Alec Baldwin, now I'm not going to say maybe he hated his dad. Maybe they didn't get along. Maybe it's like, I will never touch a gun because my father does. But I have a feeling he probably knew. Even back then.
Eric, I haven't watched the video. I'm just reading some of the comments on the video.
I'm terrified.
Look, you might. What, are you yellow yet?
Good question. Probably, but let's see.
Because I'm reading. I want to read the comments before seeing the video, just to
to see what it's about. Yeah, because we don't know what the video. You don't want to play.
Not yet. Not yet.
Well,
we can go there. I mean, whatever. You know what?
But you shouldn't play. You shouldn't. Don't because we don't know, and you don't. And God forbid they start striking it down. You should at least look at the video first to see.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm hovering
window.
over. I'm hovering over, and it just looks like. Yeah, I'm just gonna. It doesn't make.
Oh, it's violent. It's going to be a problem.
Okay, so you don't see anything bad, but something happens quickly. Let me see what happens in the aftermath.
Everybody's like watching us watch something not very fun.
I'll tell you one thing. It's bad. There's this. It does a lot of things don't make sense. Let me see. The chat says.
Wait, what?
The chat. Sorry, the comments to the video say Paul Pelosi has a drink in his left hand, and he has it looks like a can of beer. It looks like he's holding a drink in his left hand.
It looks like he's laughing. Wait, what? Oh, oh my God. Okay, that is weird.
Dude, it's amazing. Friday afternoon dump, and it's like how many months after the incident? And this is not to undermine any of the violence or the incident itself. Paul Pelosi is holding what appears to be a can or a glass of something in his left hand.
So if there's if it doesn't seem crazy, could we play it? Should we play it?
Well, it does show an actual strike. So I'll just describe what I saw in that brief instance, which is peculiar. The guy did swing the hammer at Pelosi. So it looks like Pelosi opened the door and was holding the hammer at the same time. I can't tell, though. I'd have to look at it further. Who had the hammer to begin with? Like the guy might have been pulling it from Pelosi. I don't know who actually had it, but they both kind of have possession of the hammer in the hands.
I got
the door was when the door was open, and they're almost kind of. It's odd behavior. I was watching it quiet, so that's going to be good for body language analysis, because I don't know if it was nervous behavior or whatever, but it was kind of like laughing. And then when Pelosi let it go, the guy swung it at him. So the guy did, in fact, swing the hammer at him, but it's some odd.
I've got to tell you, the police response. Doesn't make a lick of sense. Do these police not know whose house they're going to? Like the cops say, what's going on here? And then say, drop the hammer, and then go, whoa, after one of the guys with a hammer swings at Paul. I mean, what the heck are the cops doing in all of that?
I will say sometimes, yes, you get calls and you just don't know where you're going. Like, because the dispatcher, gentlemen, a call comes in, they give you address because the first thing they ask you, where's your emergency? What's the location of your emergency? So they'll give you a location, and sometimes it just doesn't pop up. Maybe now it pops up on the screen, but before it's just like, okay, this is where you go, and then when you get there, if you see celebrity, sometimes it happens. So
okay,
well, let me download this video before it disappears.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm sorry, but yeah,
it's not something that happens. It's not something that happens all the time, but when it does happen, sometimes you can be, because I've been surprised when I go, this.
Yeah, I just can't understand. It looks like, and it is at what time of the video? It's at 49 seconds of the video. It looks like Paul Pelosi has a drink in it. Yeah,
that's weird. I mean,
he's holding at 46 seconds. It looks like he's holding either a can of something or a cup of something in his left hand, like he's drinking something. And obviously, you can always say what I would have done, God forbid. The fact that he's not dropping the hammer and running to the cops now that they've opened the door and there's two of them there.
But I'm going to go on the bottom line aspect of it, though. The one thing I see in the video that I can confirm is the attacker did swing the hammer in a pretty strong overhand strike. So there is definitely an assault with a deadly weapon. No question. I'm not disputing that Paul Pelosi was in fact assaulted. And I want to put that out there clearly, completely. I'm not trying to add any more information. I think the circumstances look odd, but he was in fact
definitely
attacked clearly.
Yep.
So what?
All right. Well,
deal.
Wow.
Well, I wonder why they hid the video so long then. If it clearly shows that, maybe it's the fact that he has a drink in his hand. Or no, I don't know.
I'll put in the link in the chat for Little Rock and everybody, so you guys can go and see it.
It's the police. They show up at 41 seconds, so they're walking up to the door. I didn't hear any of the audio from the first 41 seconds. The incident occurs 41 to 56 seconds, and then after that, they're on top of him making the arrest. And I haven't listened to what they say there. So
I could show the part before. I think I'd probably get away with it. I'll do that. We got to pay attention to not get the
the actual act of violence,
because I think the curious part is the way they were acting toward each other when it happened. So let me share this, and people are asking, and that's fair. I don't
46 seconds is the freeze frame that you want to get to.
Okay, so here we go. I'll do it without sound too, or well, I could use sound.
I just like the cop says, "Whoa, shit!" Well, after he actually swings.
Now this is 9:30 at night, right?
No, this has got to be 2:30 in the morning. It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Actually, why does it say?
Well, it says 09:30. I don't know what time zone, what have you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not going to get quibble on that.
All right.
How you doing?
Yeah, that might
What's going on, man?
Everything's good. They both are holding the hammer.
And look at Paul's left hand. He has a drink in it or something.
Okay.
All right. Drop the hammer.
Okay, you want to stop now?
Okay. That's just some odd. Hi. Everything's good. They both seem like they don't really want somebody involved with what's going on. I don't know what's going on. It's very
well.
Weird.
If somebody comes in the house and is hammer got a hammer, the police come. Like. Even though it's weird, but it's like, what would we expect? If
it is an intruder, like how
how is he supposed to act?
Freeze frame right now, man. Right there. Stop it. No, you missed it. Go back to 46 seconds.
Oh, there's the glass. There's the glass.
Like that's curious. I mean, again, you have nobody knows how anybody responds, and maybe he's buying time. Can I have a glass of water?
Yeah, and they're both holding the hammer, and you could tell obviously this guy's trying to get his hand off the hammer.
It looks like who had it?
They both have it. It looks like
they absolutely do. But it's possible that Pelosi had it, and the guy was. I'm gonna have to analyze it. I'm gonna try to clean it up too.
Get the panel.
The panel.
Get the panel.
But I'll get Gavin and look at it.
It's weird. It's weird, and the fact that they took months to release it, despite all of the speculation and blaming it on extreme MAGA Republican rhetoric, and they dump it on a Friday afternoon, months after the incident, when everyone's forgotten about it.
Mm-hmm.
This would have raised a hell of a lot more questions, and potentially undermined the running narrative at the time, which has since long been debunked anyhow. So,
well, I don't know. This just seems like if they don't know this guy and. I don't know. I don't know how this changes anything, because it seems like the stories that I heard seems to be what the body cam shows. He was standing there with the hand on the hammer.
Yes, the question is though, I obviously, like, cops show up and there's an intruder. I don't know what a normal response is. Like, does he?
The way it was reported though, Nate, is not the way it was shown. Okay, it was reported like the guy was just off as unhinged, swinging at him. The cops broke it. It was. This is a much more encounter until that striking point.
Because
why did they fight? And why did they fight the release of it? Why are they concerned that this is out?
Yeah, I'm just saying if he's saying this guy broke into my house, I called the cops and he attacked me, and then the story that I read months ago was that the cops came and they were both holding the hammer. And then the guy pulled the hammer away and struck him. So that seems like what we see.
But
I don't know how it's different.
Wasn't that the story that was a conspiracy theory that got pulled down?
No. Actually, you know what? Can you find that one? Find the what's his name? Miguel. Miguel.
I don't know. Go look for it. I'm not sure.
NBC, Viva Frei. Because I think now Miguel might have said
Yeah,
he walked back to the assailant. Miguel NBC. What's his last name? Miguel.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
But he did actually.
Miguel Almaguer.
He kind of did walk back. Hold on. Let's look at it again. Because he opened the door. Pelosi opened the door, it appears.
Yeah, it seems like they both have their hands on the hammer. Pelosi opens the door, but then how did you open the door with the glass in his hand?
None of this makes any sense. Who opened the door? All of their hands are occupied.
That's a good point.
That's my point. Yeah. If he has a glass in his hand, how do you open
He's
the
got
door?
a glass. DePop's got his right hand on the hammer, his left hand on Pelosi's arm.
Little Rock could be right. Pelosi's opened the door with one hand and glass in the other. Then he reaches back and holds the hammer. We have to back up and look though. It's
very close.
And I'm not saying this to be funny. Just look at their feet. Maybe someone opened it with a foot, but it doesn't look like one of the handles.
So yeah, so he takes his hand off the hammer. It looks like he's doing it with his hand off the hammer. He's opening the door with the right hand. It looks like, not the left hand.
I don't know, man. That hand is there.
That hand looks like it's firmly there. So
I don't know.
Unless there were
like
reports. There was another. Was there a report that someone else opened? Well, the one thing's
there was a report. Yeah, that's somebody else.
The cops did not open the door.
Look! That door kept swinging backward more. That's
it's
weird.
Still
because, but that's a strong swing for because it's like kind of going slowly, and then all of a sudden, I don't think there's a spring.
Play until it opens.
How you doing?
Look at that.
It just it seems like somebody pulled it open. It just
there could be somebody on that other side.
I don't know.
Look through. Do it again and look through the hinge crack on the door because there's a moment where you might be able to see something if there's.
I don't see anybody though. That's the weird part.
And you could see through the window potentially also. This is like real-time sleuthing, people.
Yeah, I think he opened the door.
Someone says hands-free door.
It could be a hands-free door too. Yeah, that's possible.
Oh yeah, you know what? Because he could have with his hand punched the button.
No, but hold on.
If as a wheelchair entry, he could have just punched it while holding the glass.
Typically, would you not see the motorized hinge on the upper top corner? Like you'd have to have a motorized hinge somewhere on that door.
Well, that's fine. But I mean, with the money that they have, they could have a built-in to the hinges. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of options. The more money you pay, the more it can be. Also, that swing is kind of odd. Like I said, it starts slowly and then goes farther.
This is crazy.
But I don't see the big story here though. Like even though it's out, it doesn't there's nothing here that's really going to change unless you could prove that they knew each other.
No, the election's over. So
but the idea that Paul has got a drink in his hand. And is not immediately running towards that open door when the cops come, and they're just sitting there. Hey, what's going on? To me, it looks like neither of them want the cops.
Well, not only that, just the story about the whole. Can I use the bathroom and all that? It's like, your average attacker is going to say, yeah, go ahead, use the bathroom, use your phone, go call 911, no problem, and no worries. We're here for you. I mean, there's a ton of problems with it.
With an 80-year-old man with a younger man, I'm trying to figure out what should he have done, because again, it's dangerous to say people should always act in a certain way under these type of circumstances.
I get it, but where's the break-in? There's no broken glass, no broken this, no they found, I don't even remember they found, but there's a lot of problems.
Like, how did he get in and all that stuff?
Yeah, and why are you doing it on a Friday? Why the Friday news?
But not just that. Why are either of them opening the door?
Yes, I agree. Why are they?
If Pelosi's an attacker, why is he opening the door?
If Pelosi's getting attacked, you should say.
If Pelosi's getting attacked, why is he opening the door? If the guy's breaking in, he's walking to the front door with Pelosi to let two people in who ring the doorbell? None of it makes any freaking sense.
Well, it doesn't make sense. But the thing is that this guy seemed to be mentally out there anyway. So I don't know. None of it, like you're saying, none of it makes sense. But who knows?
No, like. Hey, the doorbell just rang after I broke into the house. Maybe he told DePop it's Pelosi. Pelosi's at the front door, but nobody even said that. That's not even part of the story. The guy breaks in, the doorbell rings at 2:30 in the morning, and they're just going to DePop's going to let Pelosi walk to the front door, and they're both just going to open the door and think it's pizza?
All right, here we go. This is one of the parts. Broken glass at the back. Glass was outside.
That I'm not so convinced about
Yeah,
buying
I'm not
people's
sure.
theories about. When you break glass,
Yeah.
you smash it with a hammer and you pull the hammer back out. You can pull the glass out. So that's not.
Yeah.
Well, then
People-
there.
trying to
Hold
find
on, David.
points.
There's still going to be pieces that are inside, most likely.
Yeah, but
Unless-
I don't think anybody knows
Yeah.
that there were no pieces inside.
Yeah,
That-
I think people are trying to. That's trying to
and
find
especially
something that's not.
depending on the glass, there will only be glass. You smash through with the hammer, it gets lodged in like the barb on a hook, and you pull it out. And you pull the window out, not in. But anyway, that's I wouldn't put any eggs in that basket. But no, hey, dude, doorbell's ringing. Let's go see who's there. Oh, of course, I'm here to destroy Pelosi. I'm sure it's not. You have to be out there to not think it's going to be the cops.
But
I'll
if-
tell
but
you what,
he's looking-
if they
all right.
release this within a few days of the incident and didn't fight it, didn't yell at people, get people in trouble and all that, then this would be a nothing break. People would be like, oh my god, that happened. Move, the reaction is part of what is feeding the alternate narrative, I feel.
Kiki Ray says, where was the hammer located? My understanding is that the allegation is he brought the hammer in a backpack and he had some other stuff, zip ties, duct tape, and so on.
But let's not also forget too, he could have thought that was Nancy at the door, the attacker.
Yep.
He could have thought that it was Nancy, right? Because that's who he was there for. So he was like, where's Nancy? Where's Nancy? Allegedly from the reports. So that would make sense that he would come down and open at the door because he's looking for Nancy. And then, oh my God, it's the cops.
Yep,
there is a video. Someone says there's a video of him carrying a backpack to the back, chosen one, carrying a backpack and other gear to the back door and smashing the glass. I haven't seen that.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Please, put it in the comments below whenever we can.
But I think Eric's point is right. If you put this out, right after it happens, it becomes a nothing burger. But the fact that you waited so long and put it on a Friday, and now you dissect it. You're like, hold on, there's got to be some reason why you didn't put this out immediately, because this looks like a nothing burger.
Well, and then
now,
you get reporters suspended. You get all upset. It's like,
there's a lot going on here.
That's very weird. If this is put out, right away it'd be like, oh, poor dude.
Yeah.
I mean.
Miguel Almaguer, NBC, Pelosi. I think Miguel said that he opened the door and then returned to the attacker. So I can understand if they say that that's not accurate, but my goodness, if they just put the damn video out at the same time and then say that's why we took it down because it didn't accurately.
It's not inaccurate though. It's not inaccurate because the door and he backed up to the attacker.
Yeah.
So I mean,
all right. Well, that's it. Oh boy.
All right, so what did I write? And then we're going to talk about Baldwin. We actually did talk about one subject we were going to say. Very briefly, Bouzy. Nate has found that the illustrious Christopher Bouzy of Bot Sentinel. Let me do a brief introduction because I have a bad habit of assuming everybody knows everything that we're deeply into. But Christopher Bouzy is a gentleman who has appeared in the Harry and Meghan documentaries as an expert for trolls and hate bots and things like that on Twitter with his company, Bot Sentinel. Christopher Bouzy has shifted his focus to not only look at supposed hate on Twitter, but also on YouTube, where he was coming into the defense of Amber Heard. And he went after that umbrella guy, Tug, who was in the chat earlier. Mm-hmm. When that happened, Tug stated that he was misrepresenting what Tug said in his videos. Christopher Bouzy said, no, that's not true. I have receipts. And he put up transcripts of Tug's videos, which then Ian Runkle of Runkle and the Bailey did a masterful job of actually going through the, many dozens of hours of transcripts to find out exactly where the pull quotes were from. And he pointed out the methodology was complete garbage. So then after that, Joe Neerman, Good Logic, friend of the show, pointed out that Bouzy really wasn't finding anything. So Bouzy attacked Joe. Then Rob Morton of Law and Lumber came on with me on this channel, by the way, Layback News. And Nate was also in that. I think, David, you were there too. And pointed out that, Bouzy, this guy that people are relying on as an expert, we're talking about the Rolling Stone, Washington Post, Newsweek, Nate has an entire laundry list of people using him as an expert, had problems paying his rent, and was possibly running a scam of declaring bankruptcy in order to avoid eviction when not paying rent. That caused Christopher Bouzy's focus to go on to Rob and make claims that Rob apparently maybe likes to drive fast, but had a couple traffic citations, which he agreed with. And then also that there was a criminal charge that had not been solved or something, but apparently that was not actually Rob. It was somebody else named Roberto, a different person. And that wasn't enough, though. Christopher Bouzy had to turn his focus onto Nate. And so he pulled a video, the first video I ever did with Nate, about Nate's background. And Nate had a pretty tough upbringing. And Christopher Bouzy was using that to shame Nate. And so essentially there's been an ever escalating war that is currently at the point now where Nate is suing Christopher Bouzy for defamation. And in doing background research on Christopher Bouzy, one of the things that Bouzy talks about in his reports is the fact that there are bots being used to attack poor Harry and Meghan. The wonderful exiles from England who are on the run for their lives.
Who would have
in
thought
the mansions? It's terrible.
A
terrible
man who's accusing others of employing bots is employing bots himself. Who would have thunk?
Who would have thought?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, how many bots are we up to, Nate?
We had hundreds of bots. So everyone understands, and I'm going to say this: Christopher Bouzy has been moving from scam to scam to scam. And the first, like for instance, one of the first scams was a dating website called If Solo. If Solo was a dating website that you join, and you had personal classified ads. Now, there's another .com called identifies scams that listed Christopher Bouzy's site as a scam and said that this was essentially an escort service. And it says right there, if you have tickets to a show and you need somebody to go with you, they had like this classified section where you can pay somebody to go. You can pay somebody to escort them. So initially we looked back in 2011, Christopher, it seems like the company, there were particular bots that were spamming, hey, if solo, go to this website. And we found those. And the reason why we believe they're bots is because each one of the accounts tweeted the exact same tweet on the exact same day at the exact same time. So then we moved to 2014.
Oh, wait. You forgot something.
Mm-hmm.
They had something else in common.
Some of them were following Christopher Bouzy.
Thank you. Sorry. Just wanted to point that out.
Some of them were following Christopher Bouzy. So then we moved up. So then we go to then we started finding others. So it seemed like every little scam or every little thing that he was doing, he was employing this like bot network to promote it. So the second one was Blackcoin, or was it Blackcoin or whatever? Blackcoin, the Blackcoin card. So we found a whole bunch of bots doing that. Then we found a whole bunch of bots doing with Bicent. And again, there were hundreds of bots from China, from all over the world. And the only way we know, because you see hundreds of these tweets, again, same time, same day, same everything. And on top of that, they're following Bouzy. So we have essentially found all these bots that were promoting all his products. So now Bouzy is trying to pretend that he had nothing to do with these bots, that these were just, some coincidence. But we obviously, if you go to my Twitter, you can see it clearly. You have all these bots who are tweeting out all the same things and are following Christopher Bouzy. And we've been finding them for about 10 years on the platform, now about 10, 11 years on the platform. So it's obvious that it seems like he's been pushing bots on the platform to promote his stuff. And now he's trying to avoid like, oh, I didn't do it. But it's, all the proof is out there. All you got to do is just look, literally all the proof is there. So.
All right. And I actually had a tweet. We have to do screenshots because Bouzy essentially blocks everybody. If you haven't been blocked by Bouzy, you're doing something wrong. But this is his response to the bot routine, and we have people that are screenshotting stuff all the time, and it helps. But this I love. The latest conspiracy theory about me is I operated a massive botnet in 2014.
Massive.
I sincerely can't keep up with Bouzy Anon anymore. Next week, they will accuse me of being on the grassy knoll and hiding classified documents in my oven.
If I may impute some of my behavior detection in here. He, even in his description of himself, he's trying to make himself into something bigger than he is even being accused of him. Nobody's saying it's a massive botnet, but rather just using bots. But he's calling it Bouzy as if to suggest that he's as big as QAnon was, or the assassination of JFK. This is like narcissistic self-aggrandizement as a bad behavior trait, and B, to try to make it look more absurd than it is when that's not what anyone is accusing him of. Okay, I'm done.
Oh, I switched.
Wow,
sorry, I didn't switch.
Look at this. He just kicks me out of my own. No, I'm just
no.
kidding.
I was trying to load it up. I forgot that.
I make Nate a co-host, so he just has the power. He's like, never mind. Anyway, a couple of things I want to point out that are funny. First off, I love conspiracy theory. Everybody know? Do you know the origin of conspiracy theory?
Well, they say the CIA created it to discredit people who are questioning JFK.
Specifically, Mark Lane.
Yeah. But
yes. And Grassy Knoll ties it together too, by the way. But the last part that I want to point out is this isn't a denial. Does he say I didn't do it?
No.
This is not a denial. This is a smokescreen. So what were you going to say, David? Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to go back to Pelosi in a second, but never mind. I'm just yeah. Well, no. What I was going to ask, Nate. So you've served him now. He's been duly served.
Yes.
And has he filed a response? What's the status of the lawsuit? I have not been following.
So all right, so the reason the lawsuit is that right now we're at the motion to dismiss stage. So we filed the complaint, he filed the motion to dismiss. We're supposed to respond in 11 days. We got to respond, and then they get their last response, and then the judge makes the decision.
You're in New York, correct?
We're in New Jersey federal court. They removed it to federal court.
What are there any anti-SLAPP statutes in play?
No, not in. There's no anti-SLAPP statutes in play in New Jersey. They're trying to make they're trying to make an argument for to use anti-SLAPP in New York, but that's it's essentially nonsense.
Okay.
But even though we still we have, because the motion to dismiss standard was pretty simple. You just have to really just plead something that is plausible. Right, it's a really low standard, but the fact of the matter is sometimes people miss things. So, for instance, like when he said that he already had the information about my background and tweeted out what he tweeted out anyway, that obviously is evidence of actual malice. So you can move forward. But he's saying that's not evidence of actual malice. He's saying that he actually didn't know the information, but he tweeted that out just for some other reason, right?
Well, that's on the substance, so you'll get to that.
So we can beat that on the substance, and then like the other things about like he was saying, well, hey, Nate Brody, like when he said Nate Brody, there's not a licensed attorney because I spelled my name Broady.
No, he gets even worse. It's even worse, Nate, because he said one of these isn't even an attorney. So
yes.
So he was wrong on both counts. Hey, I'm not an attorney at all, but he credited me with that, which kind of makes me wonder. It's like the guy who screams racism all the time. It's like, are you saying something here?
but that's was one of the issues. But then the obviously the retort to that is it's just like saying Bill Clinton was never president, but was never sworn in to be president. That's because his name is William Jefferson Clinton. That's his actual name. So if you call him Bill Clinton, you're like, oh, but Bill Clinton was never sworn in as president. Like that. God. No, that's ridiculous, right? So he's
that's
trying to make
distinction without a difference.
Yeah, he's trying to make those arguments that the statement was actually true, and that he doesn't understand it's contextual too. Like people don't understand too with defamation. People will say, oh, the statement is true. That means it's no. It's all in context. So you could have a true statement that is defamatory if the context within the same context. So,
well, isn't that the whole point of the cease and desist letter, though, Nate? It's
yes,
you clear up any of those BS arguments. So you're saying, correct. Okay, we'll let you have all your BS arguments in the world. Correct the record, and he didn't. He doubled down.
Yes, and that's essentially what it is. The reason why people for defamation get sent cease and desist is to overcome the actual malice standard. Now you know for a fact, and then if you ignore the truth because you've got the truth, and that's how Dominion got Sidney Powell, because they sent her that letter saying, hey, here's the reasons why everything you're saying is false, and then when they said them again, then you can hit them for defamation, because now you'd have proof that they actually knew what they're saying was false. They got the cease and desist, and now they said it again. They made the defamatory statements. But the interesting part too is with cease and desist, if you receive a cease and desist and don't make the statements again, you're still covered. You don't actually have to make a retraction, because by getting a cease and desist, and to stopping, then they don't have actual malice for the original statements.
Just so everybody knows, the reason why I'm scratching my face with the device that's not my hand, I touched something on the dog. I'm not sure what it is, and I'm keeping my hands away from my face until I can wash them thoroughly.
But let me
go and share you have the screen.
Let me show you. So this is Bouzy, and this is his, the company, or the quote unquote company, if solo. But one thing though is, here are the bots that were pressing it, like we were talking about before, and as you can see, same tweet, same day, same time. 531 on November 22nd, 2011. And we have him doing this in 2014. We have him doing it. So this is what we see. And
we have somebody
hundreds
doing
and thousands of
somebody doing it
on his behalf, I believe.
Right.
I honestly believe this is because, again, why would you push each one of his products? And don't forget, he's had multiple companies. So if Solo was one company, then he killed that company and did another company, and guess what? The bots are tweeting that out. Then that company goes down, and then he has a Kinmore Corporation, and guess what? The bots are tweeting that stuff out. So, a reasonable assumption is the sole person who's running these companies, every time they put a new product out, these bots go crazy and start tweeting it out. Is it unreasonable to think that the bots are working for this person, or is it, so it's at that point in time.
Agree. I mean, I totally agree. So where we are is now Nate has opened a can of bots, and everywhere he turns, people are sending him, do you know about these bots? Do you know about these bots? Do you know about these? So we may have to have a thumbnail that says days without bot discovery, back to zero.
But but the one thing that's crazy is that we literally have caught this guy, or caught this guy's companies, the person, using hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bots, spamming, platform manipulation, you name it, we got it, right? And we can link him to, like, he's Iconic Expert. We can link him to the names. We can link him to the bots, everything, right? The bots are tweeting out his name. I have bots even telling him Chris Bouzy's Iconic Expert. Like, literally, the bots are tweeting that out. And Twitter will do nothing. But YouTube video that's public, that you tweet out for the quartering, they banned him and banned anybody else who talks about Eliza Bleu, but they won't stop this guy from literally doing this platform manipulation. As a matter of fact, his reports even point out the platform manipulation tactics, which is crazy.
Wait. You just did a masterful segue there, because I think I put in the description that we may talk Baldwin, Bouzy, and Bleu. I like the alliteration. So you slid that in there, and let me caveat things.
Oh God! Well, I got Elon replied to a tweet of mine yesterday, and I took the opportunity to bring to his awareness #FreeTheQuartering. This is one of those. Oh, go for it, Eric. I'll
share the tweet, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, the tweet. Hold on. I'll find that. By the way, before we get
bearing
there,
the lead. This is twice Elon has answered David. The other time was to say too bad.
No, Elon has replied to me at least a half dozen times now. I just don't publicize them. It maybe even more. Just before we do that, other people have rightly pointed out in the Paul Pelosi video, not only does it appear to be a glass with ice in it, because later on someone observed that there's ice on the ground. He's not wearing, unless the observation's wrong, it seems that he's wearing a button-down formal shirt and underwear at 2:30 in the morning, and not pajamas. So
yeah, but he could have gotten home late and been undressing when somebody broke in. I'm sure they'll go with that.
But I won't. I can read what's his face? What's his name said? Salty Cracker says. Salty Cracker says, Paul's got a drink in his hand at 3 a.m. while engaged in gay sex with a meth head.
Well, if we weren't yellow before, thank you very much.
Now the thing is, though, looking at it, those could be it could be pajamas. Those could be like those button-up pajama suits. I don't know. Anyway,
as people are looking for the perfect victim in the perfect situation, and no situations like that. What you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to act like, the way you're supposed to be a victim, and that's just not real life.
Hold on.
Well, I'll tell you this: made the best case that it wasn't me that demonetized you, because it doesn't happen that quickly, Eric.
That's true.
No. I don't know how long it's been, but it was here, and I forgot to. I had a little flag that was made up just for this, Nate. I forgot. We should have said that right before the bots, but hey, you know what? It's been a while. It's been a while, folks. So,
okay. This is the thing. There's an issue with the Eliza Bleu situation where it's taken two facets. There is the unjustified censorship on Twitter and totally illogical application of rules, wherein apparently the reason for which Jeremy the Quartering, Brittany Venti were banned. I mean, they're locked out of their accounts until they remove the tweet. Is that apparently they posted a screen grab of a music video. It's a world star hip hop video that's been on YouTube for 6+ years. That's still on YouTube, featuring Eliza Bleu. And my understanding from what has been explained is that the tweet was flagged on the basis of containing privately produced imagery or photographs or whatever, and Twitter applied a rule to the Quartering and Brittany Venti.
Now yellow flash and
they're saying yeah, okay, we're agreed. Now it violated the terms of service because it's a privately produced image or photograph released without the consent. Okay, that's a lot of people. That's bullshit. I mean, we could just call that what it is. It's hogwash, because it's not them that created it or published it. They're reporting on what is still in the public domain. And if, like Barnes and I discussed last week, if there's an issue with it, you got to go to the video, not to the people reporting on what is now in the public domain.
And by the way, the video is taken down now. I believe it was taken down yesterday.
Let me see about that. I hadn't checked.
It was taken down yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, on World Star.
Well, not that I don't trust you, but hold on. What happens if you go to? I didn't share the.
I'm shamed on my own show.
World Star Hip Hop. Okay, here we go. It had gotten up to 80 some odd thousand, and yeah, true. Now it doesn't look like it's there. There's other videos. So that's the issue. That's the legal conundrum. Where this has taken a turn to destroy the human, has taken the whole personal, investigating the history of Eliza Bleu, which people are now, raising questions about and digging into. So there's a legitimate bullcrap application of purported rules from Twitter that are affecting people who ordinarily would have been allies, like Jeremy the Quartering, Brittany Venti ordinarily would have been allies with Eliza Bleu and the purpose of her, or the declared purpose of her mission. Now this just a whole can of worms has been opened.
A lot of people are really quiet about it. Like, where's Posto? He's been propping him up. I don't think Malice has said anything. It's a
said anything scenario. Anything on what though? That's the question is there's people are making the Jack Murphy joke, which was one of my issues with the Jack.
I don't care about that. Jack Murphy he's not the problem, because Jack Murphy only had his own influence.
Yeah.
It appears that she is using her connections to the formerly richest guy in the world who owns a freaking platform to spank people. So it is the power paradigm issue here.
That's the
issue. I don't care about the rest.
The defense is going to be, it's not me. Other people flagged it, and if Twitter's applying those rules, take your issue up with Twitter. But people are going to start asking questions of Eliza.
I hope she tweets out and says, "Hey, this isn't me. I don't want this to happen." And then, okay, good. Please do. Please.
Or the argument is going to be I didn't know that video was up by World Star Hip Hop, or I had issues and whatever. And the video that they used to make that video was, I never consent. I shot it. Never thought anyone would ever use it. It looks like from World Star Hip Hop that they take this stock footage of women and then just, randomly mix it into a hip hop song that they then publish. I'm just trying to steel man Eliza's.
I know, but you have to work at it. So keep practicing.
No, I know it's bull crap application of Twitter rules. Period. Full stop. And set aside the history of what people are going to believe is deceit or misrepresentation from Eliza on a personal level. That's not the legal question here. Elon has rules, and they have to either make sense or they are going to not make sense. And right now, it doesn't look like it makes sense. And I'm trying to steel man the argument for why on earth Jeremy and Brittany could ever possibly have been locked out of their accounts for retweeting a screen grab from what was a public video that they themselves did not put up on the internet, and I can't find any rational justification.
Well,
somebody's saying the video is copyright claim to pull. Interesting. That's one way to do it. Well, so that means that it could be back up in a week or two.
That's true, yeah, because
now whoever said that,
and this is important too because it's true. There are other videos of her under different names or whatever, seeming to be happy with that same World Star video. She actually references that same World Star video and says that she is glad it's out there in certain videos, which it's challenging to call it unauthorized if later you have acknowledged it and celebrate it.
From what I understood, I think the quartering had it in the video. The explanation was privately produced content that was published, but then it wasn't Jeremy that was doing it. It wasn't Jeremy or Brittany doing it. Someone else had already done it. It had been up for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, it was World Star Hip Hop that had it posted. She refers to World Star Hip Hop in the video, saying my video with World. Where's the private part? I'm confused. I'm serious.
This is simple. Obviously, and again, this is all my speculation. This guy has some type of relationship with her. He knows her in some way. She probably went and hey, this video is up, and Twitter became just like Twitter was before. And I think honestly, we were all happy that Elon has brought people back and has done this, but essentially the new boss is the same as the old boss. When people put things that Elon didn't like, he banned them before too, right? He banned some journalists that put this stuff. He's like, doxing me, and now this is a friend of his who doesn't want this video that's been public for all this time. It makes no sense. But if she has friends in high places, that's essentially what's going on here. And we all know it, but I think we're all afraid to say it because we all thought Elon was this free speech advocate, but now it's just come to be extreme hypocrisy. This is hypocrisy to the nth degree.
Well, speaking of hypocrisy, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say I'm going to send it in the private chat. Where I got Elon's attention was on him seeming to censor the documentary on the Indian Prime Minister, where the documentary or links to it was taken down subsequent to some pressure. And then in response to his response, I said, yeah, and also it's not the only problem that you're having this week. So,
what I was going to point out
that wasn't it. Sorry.
Well, you were talking about hypocrisy, Nate, and I just want to say something and I don't want to name names because I'm still a tiny little YouTuber and I'd like to grow and have some degree of thriving down the road. But people like to say the left. You know what the right does this to? The right has a tendency to find people that, shall we say, fit a particular identity that they want represented, and they will protect them or cover them, and they may or may not be legitimate. They may be just as bad of a quote grifter as somebody on the left. And I hate seeing the double standard. I don't know if this is a case of a double standard, but it feels like it could be a double standard, that this person could be seen as the Me Too victim for the right, because a lot of Me Too supposedly is coming out of people who are known to be voting Democrat, if you will, or more left-wing oriented, whereas this person is hanging out with very popular right-wing figures. And I find that kind of interesting, that, dare I say, that the right is just as guilty as anybody else of wanting their token candidate for filling in a particular identity thing.
Nah, I don't. Well, I don't view this as like the tokenizing of a human to fill off checkboxes. But I also I don't view this as a right
person
putting
herself in there. I'm saying it's a blue sky theory, David. I mean, no, I'm saying, here, I'm going to apply for this role. Oh, we need one of those.
Well, I mean, I can imagine you're thinking of not just Eliza Bleu, Candace Owens.
I didn't say her name.
No, but I'm just, I don't think anybody, I wouldn't qualify that as right versus left. I just don't think the perspective of identity politics is there to the same degree. Not that I don't think it's a tokenizing or identity politics thing. It might just be a thing that nobody wants to admit that they might have gotten duped by someone that they promoted and supported.
You see, David is so innocent. This is why we love him.
Yeah,
he's not cynical like me.
Yeah, both sides play identity politics to some degree. And to be fair, the right doesn't do it as much as the left, but they do. They do.
And I just want to point it out. I just want to point out that everybody lives in a bit of a glass house.
Yeah, but I do think the left, their house, toilet, everything in the house is glass. With the Republicans, they got glass windows, but it's not as bad as the left. The left are sitting on a glass toilet. So,
well, at least you can see if you have anything bad in your
I
any
guess.
blood in your poop.
And everybody else.
I'm still thinking about that video. Like the people are going. They're going nuts on dissecting this video.
But this was obviously was going to happen when you
delay
you put it out so late.
Well, the consensus from the comments is they obviously knew each other. That seems to be the universal assessment in the comment sections. Anyways.
But again, I think they did what they needed to do.
But
they wanted to come out and be a nothing burger, and that's what they did.
Well, no, Nate, you're also right that when people look at this, if they look at this and say, what would I think if it were a movie? What would the victim look like? What would the situation look like? And in reality, these things they don't look like the way you think they'd look, and people don't react the way you would anticipate they react. So
especially in stressful situations, it happens all the time. And a lot of times it's interesting because that's where you get the phenomenon of women being more like for sexual blank cases, when generally when you're looking for a jury, women tend to be more challenging to get convictions when women are saying that they've been assaulted versus men, because men kind of want to be more protective and they'll say, that guy needs to do 100 years. But women would generally be for the defendant and say, hey, this, because they'll judge the woman. Why was she wearing that? I wouldn't have done that. She put herself in a bad position. So unfortunately, because that's what we tend to do. We tend to put ourselves in that situation and say, how would we act? But not understanding that every stressful situation, tends to have different outcomes. Because again, I think I would say this, most people in the chat and most people even in this room have acted weird in a stressful situation. Have done something that most other people wouldn't have done. You'd be like, why the hell did I do that? And that's because, unfortunately, stress causes you to act differently.
Well, but that's like I've brought it up 1,000 times. Nick Sandman, remember they plastered his face all over everything.
Yes.
His expression was the perfect personification of
white supremacy. Say it, Eric.
Awkwardness of what in the hell is wrong with this guy? I'm gonna, it's that sort of grin like, I don't want to offend him. This is very weird. That was his expression. You could really read it a mile away. But they're like, look at him taunting. Look at him taunting. That is the face of evil, the face of MAGA.
Speaking of which, what's his face? Brian Stetler hosting a panel in Davos about misinformation has yet to apologize. It's fantastic how that works.
Wow, Gregory really likes my views. Thank you, Gregory.
Sorry, go for it, Eric. Nate.
No, I got to get out of here in like.
Yeah, I'm about to wrap it up anyway. What
I got to wash my hands. You guys, I have been thinking about the bacteria on my hands and whatever that was on my dog's face since it happened. So that's what's been going on in this mad little brain.
We should stay long enough to see David sprint away from the desk, going, "Oh my God, what do we do?"
I'm wiping down my keypad after this as well.
Wow, Gregory, thank you so much. There are some choice words for you too, buddy. Whoever the hell you are. On that note, everybody, even Gregory, please remember to subscribe. I do deeply appreciate it. Helps grow the channel, and you may have been unsubscribed. Nate and I will be doing a video tomorrow. I've got Freeform Friday coming up today on America's Untold Stories. David, you are interviewing
Tyler Fisher, the comic, stand-up comic, and it's going to be saucy because I listened to his special. I shared it among our locals community, and then I deleted it. I felt bad. I thought that maybe that humor is one notch too far, and then I just shared the Peterson impersonation in the Ben Shapiro. If you haven't seen it, it's Ty Fisher is his Twitter handle, I think.
Oh yeah,
his it's whatever, Tyler Fisher, you'll find it. His impersonation of Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro. I would go and touch my fingers to my face, but I'm not doing that right now.
Hold on, don't rule out Seamus Coughlin.
I don't know who that is. I only saw
Freedom Tunes. He does a phenomenal Jordan Peterson impersonation and did it in front of Jordan Peterson.
That's cool.
So I mean,
so 3 o'clock we're going live.
All right. On that note, everybody, thank you so much,
on.
and I hope to see you